Welcome to the Healthusiasm podcast, a panel discussion on trends and innovations in health and self-care. My name is Christophe Jauquet. I'm the author of the Healthusiasm books and a professional keynote speaker on health, business, and technology. Every week, I discuss with a panel of experts the positive changes that are shaping our health and happiness. And for this discussion, we have not a single one of your beloved experts in the panel, because, as you might hear still with the noise in the background, we are still at the HLTH Europe conference. And so we have the booth for ourselves. And so we invited a couple of friends, a couple of smart people to this discussion. And so for this session, who are we having? We're having Valerie Storms, a patient experience expert, and Dorothée Marie-Louise Doepfer, a digital health expert. Valerie, welcome to the show. I know you're a great fan of the podcast. You listen to most of the episodes, right?
Yes, indeed, Christophe. I'm a big fan. And thanks for the invite. I was secretly hoping to be one day in your podcast. I'm very happy it's here at the Congress.
Nice. It's fun to have you. I mean, we've been knowing each other for quite some years now. And you have a lot of wonderful insights on patients. And that's what we'd love to talk about. But briefly about yourself, for the audience, what do you do? Where are you coming from? In a nutshell, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. So in a nutshell, I was born with a rare disease, cystic fibrosis. And at the age of 20, I also developed diabetes type 1. So I'm kind of a patient advocate from a very young age, working with the National Patient Organization. And then by growing up also for the European Cystic Fibrosis Patient Organization. So this is like my life goal, to make sure that we patients can benefit from all the innovations and technologies out there. And then from a professional perspective, I'm leading the digital health innovation work within Daiichi Sankyo for a sub-region of Europe. So also my passion for tech and digital in my professional job.
That's a wonderful combination. And talking about digital, Dorothée Marie-Louise Doepfer, wonderful French pre-now. I mean, your first names, but you're from Germany, right?
Yeah, that's true. My parents have a love for France, and so I ended up with this name. I understand French. I speak a little bit French, but I'm happy this is in English. But yes, I'm from Germany.
And so I read in your profile that you're deputy head of digital labs. Could you tell me 2 words about that?
Yeah. So I run a program which is called the Digital Health Accelerator Program, which is funded by the Berlin Institute of Health, which has the only aim to bring translation, like from research into clinical use. But since a few years, we are part of one of the major hospitals in Europe, the Charité. So I work there. I do internal innovation, bringing like ideas from physicians into digital health solutions to the market.
And so when you say you are part of, do you mean that they bought it? Or are you...
No, we were by law partially integrated in this hospital. It's a very new construct. They needed to change the law for this, but yeah.
Oh, okay, that way. And so what's the role of the hospital in your functioning then? Are they really looking for startups for their hospital, and then bring it broader into Germany and Europe maybe?
So there's 2 ways. So I work with physicians really coming out of their daily life, and they really see something that's missing in the hospital, and they build it with help of a digital solution. They would like to fill a gap. And we look if there's a need in Germany, in Europe. And so we build digital health solutions for them, with them together. And then another colleague tries to help startups to work with the Charité, but a big university hospital is like a tank. So it's a tanker. So it's very hard to get the right people to write anything moving. So, yeah.
I was thinking, is a tank a good description? Because it does move slowly, because it's also because it's actually a zillion different types of small companies in a bigger company, right? And so it goes in all directions. But
well, I can tell it's a riddle as well, because you have lots of people with CMIO, CM like this and that, and then you try to talk to them, but everybody tells you, oh, this is not my function. You need to talk to this person, that person, and then you talk to a physician that is, for example, interested in a special topic, like what Valerie, for example, mentioned, and then this person is super excited, but they don't execute. They're not allowed to execute. So you have to find your way, and people like me help to maneuver you through this riddle and in this tank.
Sounds a bit like your job as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of similarities working in pharma industry with different business teams, having great ideas, learning a lot of topics from physicians. They want to do cool stuff, but then in the end, we need experts to really help them and guide them in the right direction. Indeed, Christophe.
And that's why you both are here as well at Health Europe. What's the general feel? I mean, it's the first time Health is in Europe. We meet a lot of people that we know, a lot of new people. What was the general feeling, Dorothée, when you...
Well, for me, because I had the pleasure to go to the Health last year in the US, so I had kind of a feeling what it would look like. And I think they did a great job to bring the American we can do mentality here to Europe. And started small. It's not presenting whole Europe. This is something I have to mention. So they focused on the major big countries at the beginning. They didn't focus on the south of Europe or something. So when you're interested in the community and the strong countries in Western and Middle Europe, then this Health is really representing Europe.
So how do you feel this? Because it didn't cross my mind, basically, but...
Well, because I work so much in digital health and I work with so many hospitals, I know that lots of innovation is going on in Italy, for example. I talk a lot to the people in southern Italy who are suffering from the migration crisis, and the healthcare system has trouble. So when you work in the hospital system and there's big alliances, you talk a lot. You talk to Greece, you talk to all these different kind of countries in Europe and try to find solutions.
Yeah. And how was it for you, Valerie? First time Health Europe, I guess?
Yeah, first Health Europe. And I was really amazed by the buzz and the marketing around this Health Tech Congress. So in that way, I liked it because it really puts Health Tech, which is still a niche, like on the map of at least of social media. So I like the way the marketing is done and the buzz around. Although I heard some people, like it's a thin balance between creating a lot of excitement and a lot of things that are simultaneously happening here versus feeling overwhelmed. So this is a thin balance. And the same for me with creating in-depth conversations versus buzzwords and having the bigger picture. So this balance is hard, I can imagine, for congresses. And I'm still doubting where this balance falls for me personally. Is it like too overwhelming, too much? Should we have a bit more in-depth experts sessions as well? But overall, I like the fact that it's really good to meet a lot of people across Europe with the same passion.
I have a bit the same feeling in the sense that I've been thinking about it yesterday. I mean, there's a lot of panels. And the advantages of panels is that you don't have... If you go to conferences and it's only like keynote speakers, but the keynote speakers are mostly companies, then you get sales pitch after sales pitch after sales pitch, and that's pretty boring. You don't get not a lot from it. Let's put it that way. Now in the panels, you have a little bit of sales pitching and you have a little bit of, discussion. It doesn't always go that deep. Sometimes I'm like, I add some 20 minutes more and get some more. I mean, controversy, whatever. But
well, I got lucky. I went to panels where it was very controversial. It was very much into depth. I totally agree with the main stage. For example, there were a few talks, which I know last year in the US, they were very spicy, even it was the big stage, especially when Walgreens was speaking out what they want to do. And this is what I miss here, but I always bring it in the European perspective. We have to learn to be that spicy on stage. We have to learn to speak our minds. So I would say for a European conference, it's more outspoken than we are used to. So I put it a little bit in the perspective.
Oh, lovely. And so I agree also with Valerie. There's a lot going on at the same time. I always have like 1 or 2 sessions at the same time that I want to see. And then you talk to other people. Where you going to? Do you know anybody on the panel? Whatever. Did you see, Dorothée, any specific panel that you say, I mean, this was something that I really enjoyed that I want to share, or what?
There were 2 panels. One was yesterday on the clinical trials and how they have to change. And this was a SPICE panel, and it was representative from pharma, it was representative from regulatory and patient representatives. And one of the pharma representatives, she has the role of change management. She was really pointing out that something has to change in clinical trials and the diversity in clinical trials and how to do this. And I like how she was pushing for it and said, like, listen, regulatory will not accept this. The FDA is starting already. So if you don't do your homework and you don't start to have diverse panels, groups on clinical trials, and you put an effort in that, even with AI, with everything, you will get in trouble and your products will not be regulated anymore.
And so was pharma pointing out to others then? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they were pointing out to whom?
To not only hospitals, like to startups as well, to the community, especially to hospitals, because they say, hey, I have a great research sample here. I have my patient group. I just do and run my clinical trials here. But she said, like, this will not be enough. And for CROs, for everyone. But she was like with one of the big Nordic pharma companies, and she was like really pointing this out.
Yeah, clinical trials is really something that always pops up, and there's a lot happening there. It's hard to keep patients in clinical trials also. So there's a lot going on. You share this as well, or?
Yes, and I also want to highlight what Dorothée was saying about patients. Like, remember Lucien Engle, who had this patient-included charter for congresses? Like, he was saying, like, if the patient is not present at the congress, I won't speak anymore, I won't join anymore. I think here I'm really amazed by the amount of patients present at the Congress. I'm just wondering how you guys see this, like the way they do it. So, for example, there is an Ask the Patient booth over here. I was not sure if that was really empowering the patients. Like they're sitting there like many hours for someone to come maybe over and ask a question. I would love to see the patients more empowered. And also on stage, I want to see the patient entrepreneurs. I want to see those patients that had a need and took the initiative to change. That would be amazing. But I'm very happy that there are patients present and talking. So like you said, Dorothée, the panels are very diverse, and that's a very good thing. And yeah, and coming back to the clinical trial topic, I think we should integrate much more tech and engaging solutions for patients in clinical trials for many reasons. I think it can benefit.
But it's super hard in Europe because I talk to my teams, I talk to other people from other hospitals, that's my area. And so like, they tell me, oh, I have a great clinical trial sample. It's like, how does it differ from mine? You are from Northern Europe. I'm from Middle Europe. How do we differ? Yeah, I have a new example. It's like, I'm pretty sure your sample is the same sample that I have. So for me, a diverse sample would be going to the UK or going to the Netherlands, because by history, the patient or the population is just a different population than the population of my country. But I think this is some things on the health, we should have more awareness, you know?
Yeah, totally. And it's hard to do indeed to find those patients. 3 weeks ago, I was at the Global Healthcare Week in Abu Dhabi. And what they say there is that, I mean, it's such a diverse population there because the whole world is actually coming to that place.
True.
And so they collect an enormous amount of data on their whole population, like every citizen. And they say, we have probably the most diverse, I mean, non-official clinical trials, but, clinical data on patients that in the world. And it was a very interesting thing. And I think in Europe, we're getting more and more diverse as well. So I think it should become at least easier, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, like I hope we have awareness and we move, because it's an effort. And I hope Europe is taking the effort and says like, okay, listen, or partnering up with these countries and say, listen, we need to test our products in your population and see if it's actually working, and to make our healthcare system better. Because when you are not the average person from the clinical books, what the physicians learn, you might have different symptoms and they don't mistreat you, they just don't know. Yeah. And this is a massive issue we have in Europe.
Valerie, any sessions or conversations that you had in the past day and a half now, or even with the evening, this and the night that sparked your interest or enthusiasm or whatever, Healthusiasm or?
Yeah, I think of course the whole AI topic is huge. And so looking for ways that we can like tangibly start using it. And I had a conversation with some physicians saying like, we hear a lot about this, but when will it really like come into my daily practice? And for radiology, of course, and image analysis, it's already like there. But then there are so many other ways that it could benefit physicians. And what I hear now mainly is, of course, we all know that this workforce in hospitals is really under pressure. But at this moment, AI is not already there that it can work and help physicians. It's still in that stage that physicians need to put a lot of effort in developing the AI solutions that will in the future help them. So it's still like AI is not working yet for physicians. There are still physicians need to work for AI. And this combined with the pressure on the workforce, it will be tough, I think, for them. So I see Dorothée nodding no. I can imagine some AI solutions can already provide value, but if you want to have the medically integrated solutions, there is still a lot of validation needed where physicians have to put a lot of effort in. At least that's what the physician mentioned to me, like we are still working for AI instead of the other way around.
Interesting.
Why I was like shaking my head is like, it depends actually on the area, because I know some hospitals where they use, especially in ICU care. So I know about a startup, they're integrated in our hospital as well. After heart surgery, they have a lovely AI tool, which is like detecting from this point one, when they come out of the surgery, if they might develop an internal bleeding, was one of the most common complications. And this is all based on the algorithm and the AI and the prediction. So you have it there. But why it's there? Because it was a heart surgeon who found this problem during his shift and was like, okay, I can program, I have a team, I want to do something. And then it's a regulated product, so this works. I totally agree with you, it's still niche. But why? Because everybody waits that all the solutions will be reimbursed, because this is the other buzzword on this conference. Mm-hmm. I hear on every single panel, despite the clinical trial panel, this needs to be reimbursed. But for me, and I know great French startup, for example, from radiology, they said like, to be honest, we offer the hospital service. We never went for reimbursement. It's called Glima. And they said like, no, we worked on a business model that works. And if our business model is good, the hospital will buy this. We won't wait for reimbursement. And they are very, very successful. So I have to admit, even I work in a hospital. I know about all the conversation about reimbursement. But if you have a great idea and if you have a working business model, then one revenue stream is reimbursement. But this should not be your own revenue stream, and this should not hold you back. But this is too much of noise here about reimbursement.
I fully agree. I mean, if I talk to startups and they talk about reimbursements, I always ask the question, are you sure? Because I'm not quite sure whether it's always necessary. I think it's healthier sometimes to think in a business model that doesn't require necessarily reimbursement. What I do like, and at the same time worry a little bit about, is that the physicians that are here are mostly the most innovative physicians. There are a whole other bunch of physicians that are probably less innovative. So if the ones that are here saying like, oh, we're not there yet, when can I actually blah, 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 then I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say worried, because I somehow understand it in many ways, let's put it. But I really think that AI will be super, super necessary. We always I've been talking about burning platforms in healthcare. When will it actually happen? But I think the one and only burning platform that we're having is the workload, the burnout, the people that are leaving the job. And I think the one way that we can solve this in medium terms, hopefully shorter term, is with AI. And so we really need to have these solutions, and physicians need to find ways to integrate it in their work.
I hope I didn't express myself, because I'm fully convinced we need it.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of an investment that needs to be made by hospitals, by physicians, to indeed start to learn to work with those solutions, integrated in their workflows, help with validation. Some AI tools can be developed like in US and need to be retrained, revalidated, for example, indeed because of the diversity of populations in other parts of the world. So I think it's normal that there is still this investment needed also from the hospitals and the physicians themselves to adapt and adopt those new technologies.
And yeah, especially in hospitals, I think sometimes they try on a too high level to integrate the AI, because I know with the overwhelming time commitment, it's most of the time in administration, and especially with large language models. You can do so much, like when entering a hospital, answering all the questions. So they should start there. But for example, in my home country, privacy law is hindering everything. So this is something what is actually hindering AI and is pushing the physicians away from really training, doing the stuff. It's all about GDPR to privacy law. It's important, but you can overregulate.
Frightening, yeah.
I can just speak for Germany, where it's very overregulated, and even by every federal state, it's a different kind of regulation. And one, you can use the cloud, and another, you cannot. So in Berlin, for example, you can walk around naked with a bottle in your hand, but you cannot track a patient in case you are scared you lose it, because that's against privacy law.
And I agree also with what you said, Valerie, in the sense that digital health had struggles to really get some traction, get some speed, because the investment of time to get there was too high. And let's hope that AI can maybe solve that a little bit. We're coming to the end of this podcast, and you can hear probably in the back the piano playing. So how good is this to end with some piano playing in the back? But I had one final question for both of you: is that, was there a specific quote or in a discussion or on a stage that you've heard somewhere that you said, I really like this one, this really made me think, and I'll take it along with me?
No, I don't have an immediate quote in mind, but I was just listening into a panel. And of course, the topic of data is always present in every panel. And what I feel in many industries is that we are talking a lot of data, but still like as a buzzword, and not really thinking through what data do we want? What do we want to do with the data? We tend to collect a lot of data. And one person in the panel was saying, like, if you want to bake a delicious cake, you have to have high quality ingredients. And it's similar for healthcare and for AI. If you want to have good AI solutions, you have to have high quality data. So I think I will choose that quote because I just heard it and I thought, yes, it's nicely framed with the cake. Maybe it's because I'm a food lover as well.
All right. So yeah, I remember a quote which was, I was amazed by a panel on women's health. And it was one of the more advanced in age people who actually were like really getting my attention, was Dame Leslie Regan. And she said, like, it's great what's done in women's health and female health. But to be honest, the focus is either on menopause or maternity health. All right. So maternity is 9 months. If you're lucky, maybe 4 times, which is very rare. And even menopause is just a period, like, you don't cover like 80% of the life of a woman. So start to look in a new way on women's health and not only on these 2 periods in life. And I really love that quote.
Oh, yeah.
And it coming from a lady who is like in this business for a very long time, has seen so much in a senior role, telling everyone, you just have a broader point of view. I was really excited about that.
That's interesting, because then I can refer to my new book, Trends in the Transformation Economy, where there's a whole chapter exactly on that. So thank you both for this lovely chat.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Christophe.
It's time to wrap up the Healthusiasm podcast for this week. Thank you for listening. If you like this show, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Blah, blah, blah. I'm getting tired here. You can also visit the Healthusiasm.com website to discover other episodes, subscribe to the newsletter, and learn more about our panelists. For now, I'd like to thank our panelists for their Healthusiasm. Thank you, Valerie Storms, and thank you, Dorothée Marie-Louise Doepfer. Thank you for having us. My name is Christophe Jauquet. We are the Healthusiasm panel, and we'd love to see you again next week for some more Healthusiasm. Ciao.